Hey, what do you say? Another conversation here for you on the Run In podcast. This time, we've got an amazing guest. I'm pumped for this one. We've got the Blue Meanie himself. How's it going, man?
Hey, how's it going, man? I understand you had a fun trip out to Mania.
Oh yeah, just literally just got home about an hour ago. So no sleep. So I apologize in advance if I seem out of it a little bit here, but great
Aren't we
trip.
all?
What's that?
Aren't we all?
Yeah, it's true. First Mania experience. It was a great time.
Awesome.
So yeah, great time, great time. First thing I wanted to ask you, man, is how is Stevie Richards doing?
That's a great question. I've asked him, and I'm sure he's busy with rehab and stuff like that, so he hasn't really responded. But and I also hate being the guy going, "Hey, how you doing?" while the guy's going through something, and
Sure.
Stevie's a very well-liked guy, so I'm sure a lot of people are reaching out to him now, and I wish him nothing but the best. But I rarely hear from Stevie anymore. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you guys were super close still, but
Oh, we're cool. It's just
yeah,
we're adults and we have lives,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
yeah,
And
it's just,
things get busy and things like
here's
that.
the thing. Like, Al Snow's one of my best friends in the world.
Yep.
My brother, I love him, and we talk here and there. But if I see him in person at a convention, our conversation pretty much picks up where it left off maybe a year or 2 years ago. It's just
Sure.
that's how the business is. We always assume we'll see each other at the next booking, and
Yep.
I would pray that I see all my friends at the next booking.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What are you up to these days? You still doing the pod, right?
Doing the Mind of the Meanie podcast, which drops every Monday morning wherever you get your favorite podcast. Doing this weekend I'll be in Indianapolis, Indiana for the Square Circle Wrestling Expo. I got
Right.
the bone crushing collection action figures.
We're gonna be talking about those.
Oh, dude, I am super proud of those. The figure collections folks really knocked it out of the park with this one, with the Series 1 variant. Series 1 original and the variant, which I'm very proud of.
I love that BWO one, man. It looks so good.
Dude, what's cool is they even like did different knee pads for each one.
Yep.
If you zoom in close, you can see like the little socks. And then I call this my WrestlePalooza 98 shirt, even though I wore different variations of this.
Yep.
The front and the back. I couldn't be and they nailed it with the ponytail. Little ponytail holder, and how I used to paint my glasses around my head till one day I said, that's a bit much.
Now are you a figure collector yourself? Do you collect stuff like that, or do you collect anything?
I collect dust. No. When I was a kid, I collected figures all the time. And then I got into wrestling and I started focusing on my career. And one of the biggest mistakes I made, I guess, was handing off my collection to my nephew and never seeing some of my prized collectibles ever again. I was like, here, you pass these on, and they didn't make it.
Yeah.
I had some I had the LJNs, I had the AWA figures.
Yep.
All the great stuff I wish I still had. But my biggest problem about collecting something is mentally I'm a completist.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So if there's one thing missing, the whole collection is worthless. So I was like, ooh, this could be a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like collecting. Anything. I'm a big fan of like music, sports, stuff like that. So
Yep.
now it's like either action. Now I'm starting to try to get a collection of Blue Meanie figures. I went from being a guy who had no action figures to a pretty decent collection so far, and I'm very proud that because anytime a company wants to make a figure of you, that's an investment. That's them saying, "Hey, trust you and your brand well enough that if we put money into it, we can get a return on our investment. So
Absolutely.
the fact that they made these, not only did they make a great action figure, they made a variant, which, to me, that's double the investment. So that means that's a big vote of confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. I was shocked before we got on here. I was just scrolling through. I didn't realize that you didn't have any action figures from. I mean, ECW. Did you miss that when ECW was doing them? Did you kind of just miss that? And then when you went over to WWE, I know they had the Jax contract. Was it just a timing thing where you never really got? You were never in the company when they had the contracts or anything like that. Is that what was the deal with that?
That's exactly what happened. When I went to WWE, ECW started doing their line of figures with San Francisco Toy Company.
Yep.
Missed out on those.
Yeah.
And then once I went back to WWE Release Man, went back to ECW, missed that line of action figures. So, I mean, I had a great time in ECW, great time in WWE, just bad timing with the action figures.
Yeah, and it was crazy to me to think that, because it's like your character is super toyetic, with the, like you said, with the painted on glasses, the blue hair, like certainly worth having an action figure. But yeah, you've got the micro brawlers, some FTC figures, a couple of the buddies, the wrestling buddies, which I saw behind you there. Yeah.
Yeah, this is from Brothers Gatter.
Yep.
You go brothersgatter.com, order one right now. We did a Christmas variant with Meanie Claus.
Love it.
Yeah, and the back had a steel chair
Nice.
in the back. So I've been very, very fortunate that like companies go, Blue Meanie. Yeah, we think we can market him.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you have a favorite out of all of them? You don't have to say, I know figure collections kind of hooked us up here, but you don't have to say figure collections. We won't tell Jack. It's okay. But if it's not your favorite, but do you have a favorite one? Or are they all, I mean, a lot of them are different. We got the retro from Cella. You've got the FTC, which is kind of like on the Mattel WWE 6-inch line, the BCW, like we talked about, and then the buddies and the micro brawler. Is there one that sticks out where you're just like, this is me?
This one, I mean, I'm going to steal a line from Tom Brady. My favorite action figure is the next one.
I love it. Love it. Big Tom Brady fan. So
I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, but I got to recognize, I can't hate on him. I got to recognize him for being one of the greatest. But,
absolutely.
These bone crushing figures are pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm grateful for everybody. Figures Toy Collection, for Figures Toy Company, for making my first action figure ever. And then I love the micro brawlers and the Cella. They did the Meanie 2-pack.
Yep.
And then now Cella has now it's Epic Toys.
Yep.
They're going to be doing the BWO, Stevie Meanie Nova, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
So it's very cool. And then Rush Collectibles has an extreme line coming out soon, based off the ECW San Francisco Toy Company figures, which I missed out on. So they're kind of doing what they did with what we're doing with the Bone Crushers here. Whoever missed that line, they're going to do somebody who missed that line, so you could put it right in with that line of toys, and it can fit the collection.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have done watched a lot of unboxings and people putting the Bone Crushing figure with their Bone Cruncher, and it fits right in. I mean, it's so perfect.
We got to get a blue dust one to go with gold dust.
Yeah,
that could be a little, maybe a running podcast variant, a running podcast chase. I'll talk to Jack about that. We'll see if we can get that to happen down the road.
Work that magic.
That's right. Let's chat a little bit about your career. One of the things, I mean, obviously, besides the huge differences, maybe the backstage mantra and things like that. What were the huge the differences besides the obvious, I should say, between your time with ECW and your time with WWE?
I enjoyed both immensely. I mean, when I went to ECW, I was only in the business a year and a half. I had started training March of '94, had my first match in June. And then, Al Snow told me, hey, you've been here for like a year. It's time to, go out on your own and, learn how to promote yourself, get bookings, all that stuff. And that was March of '95. And then about October '95 is when I started working for ECW.
Yep.
It's insane
Yeah.
just, how quick. So when I get it, you're bright eyed and bushy tailed in the pro wrestling business, not as damaged emotionally. Everything's cool. Everything's new to you. And I had a awesome time. Got to do a lot of cool things. Got to pitch, be very creative. But time comes and you get an offer to go to WWE, and I got to support a family.
Sure.
With my mom and supporting my mom and grandma. Well, my mom and grandma was supporting my wrestling habit at the time.
Yeah.
It was time for me to return the favor, and
Sure.
went to WWE. And I always say this to younger talent: pro wrestling's a lot like going to school. You can be the coolest kid in 8th grade, but once you go to high school, you're a freshman. Once you're in high school, you can be the coolest senior in high school, but when you go to college, you're a freshman again. And then you could be the big man on campus in college, but once you graduate, you're going off to become an intern and getting other
Yeah.
people coffee. So pro wrestling's an evolution of always having to reestablish yourself, because the new place you're going to isn't impressed with what you did before. They want to see what you could do now. So when I went to WWE, there was a little bit of a learning curve. And I got to, learn a lot. I learned a lot in ECW too, but you go on to the WWE and you learn a lot there. And I mean, things are a little bit more micromanaged, and I'm not saying that in a bad way.
Sure.
You're dealing with live TV every week. ECW, you're doing taped television with occasional live pay-per-view, where if you make a mistake, they can fix it in post.
Mm-hmm.
Live TV with WWE, got one shot. So a little bit of extra pressure, but it's still fun nonetheless. But I got to see the world on other people's dimes, and you got to live the dream. I was never supposed to make it in professional wrestling growing up, severe asthmatic, and if I could take anything away from it, hopefully there's a kid out there who grew up like I did with severe asthma, and can go, hey, well, he did it. Maybe there's hope for me. In high school, I tried out for the football team, and I couldn't play football because I was allergic to the field.
Oh man.
I had allergy. My asthma is allergy activated. I'm allergic to grass.
Wow.
So imagine that let down, But
Yep.
I started training with Al Snow, and he helped get me into shape, and I was very fortunate to go ECW, WWE, and get this wealth of experience that now I try to pass on to the younger guys who are willing to listen.
Sure. Sure. What any thoughts on everything that went down this weekend with the big WWE, with obviously WrestleMania? You still watch the product, I assume. Any thoughts on the sale? What went down at WrestleMania?
I thought it was overall. I thought the event was a success. Sorry, first day with the new mouth. I thought it was a very successful weekend. It started off with SmackDown, and then the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame was great this year. It was a little bit more streamlined, and some of the past Hall of Fame seemed to go off the rail time wise. And
Sure.
you have Mr. T thanking his mom
For hours.
Yeah, I think he's still thanking her. And that the people in the building are working around him as he's still at the podium. But yeah, Hall of Fame was awesome. Plenty of get the tissue moments with between Andy Kaufman's family and then Ray and Conan's speech was amazing.
Amazing.
Probably one of the best induction speeches ever.
Yeah.
You know,
I was waiting for Tony Clifton to show up to
that was my prediction.
Except for Andy Kaufman there, but
my prediction was Tony Clifton accepts, goes off on the rails. Bob Zamuda, who's been playing Tony Clifton, comes out and goes, "What are you doing?" And you peel back the mask, and it's really Andy.
Right.
Yeah.
At the Superstore, they had like one of his shirts and his neck brace and stuff, and it had his born date, and then it had his the date he passed away, but there was a question mark next to it. So I thought that was a pretty cool touch.
If you're ever in upstate New York, there's the National Comedy Museum.
Okay.
It's right outside Buffalo, in Lucille Ball's hometown. I can't think of it offhand, but they have an Andy Kaufman exhibit up there too.
Oh wow,
which is really cool. And they had his belt, which I'm assuming that was his brother had. Night at the when they introduced him at WrestleMania. But there's a really cool Andy Kaufman exhibit. There's a George Carlin exhibit. His George Carlin starters on the board there. So if you're ever in upstate New York, go to the National Comedy Museum. It's a really cool Andy Kaufman exhibit.
Yeah, I have to check that out. I love stand-up comedy. In today's world of wrestling, is there one, maybe two, whatever? Is there certain guys that you love watching, guys that catch your eye in today's world, whether it be in WWE, AEW, the Indies? Is there a specific guy or girl that you love just seeing doing their thing?
I have a couple kids out there in the world wrestling. I helped coach Matt Riddle. Helped coach Damian Priest. Helped coach Steve Macklin in Impact. There's LSG, the Rocket out there in Ring of Honor. Ian Riccaboni doing one of my kids doing commentary for Ring of Honor. So I follow those guys closely because I'm a proud coach. I'm not their only coach, but
sure.
I had some input. I watched those, but there's still a lot of stuff I like. Big Finn Balor fan. I could like anybody from Finn Balor to Orange Cassidy cracks me up. I would love to do something with Orange Cassidy. People look at the the laid back gimmick, but once it comes down to it, he can actually go. He can wrestle.
He's one of my favorites to watch.
Yeah, and he's a good guy. He's from lives here in Philly, so see him from time to time.
Gotcha.
But there's so much good talent out there. There's so much good wrestling out there. I never thought I would live in a day and age where I would go, man, there's too much wrestling. Just when I was a kid, I maybe had 5 hours a week.
Yeah.
Now it's just like, WWE has 5 hours on Monday and Friday. Just good Lord. But it's about when you live in. It's kind of hard when you live in an era now where everything's got to be quick. You got to keep people's attention spans. We live in a TikTok age where if you don't get their attention within the first couple seconds, they're flipping back and forth.
Yeah.
It's an interesting time to be in the observer of professional wrestling.
For sure. That's one of my things with this whole, people being upset that Cody lost on Sunday night. It's like, well, you guys want long-term storytelling.
Yeah.
But then when we get long-term storytelling, you're complaining that this didn't happen. The story's not done. Like, it's like, you can't, it's almost, it's like the greatest era of wrestling as far as like, the amount of talent that's out there. But at the same time, it's like, man, Twitter, social media, all that stuff just makes it sometimes like, I throw my hands, even and having a podcast, like we're in it all the time. And I'm just like, I just want to throw my hands up and walk away from it once in a while. I can't imagine being a talent these days with Twitter and Instagram, with all the, keyboard warriors out there and things like that. But it is.
I've joked that, that with the story coming out about CM Punk and Jon Moxley and wanting to do the Rocky III ending, I say the Cody and Roman was Rocky 1.
Okay. It's a great analogy. Yeah.
With Rocky didn't win the big fight at first.
Right.
Where I could see this thing ending up at SummerSlam with an eventual rematch. Maybe he wins the belt at SummerSlam.
That was my prediction after everything calmed down Sunday night. I was like, let's give him to SummerSlam. Let's see what happens.
I was in that unenviable position of I had to drive somewhere. I had to be somewhere for something important, and I couldn't watch the Cody match. So while I was driving, I put on the Peacock app. I hooked my phone into the car sound system. I listened to
the match.
and brother, that crowd was electric.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just listening to the match. I eventually went back and watched it, but I think he lost, but he lost in a way where it didn't hurt him. It didn't hurt him.
Oh no way. Yeah, I agree.
When you screw a guy over like that, and he had to fight up against so many odds, with the whole bloodline, you can lose without losing.
Mm-hmm.
There's ways to do it. Dude, there's people out there, myself included, who've probably lost more matches than we won.
Yeah.
But and somehow remained over.
Sure.
But Cody will be fine. I know people are upset. Well, here's the new thing. This is like the new age wrestling. When I was a kid, if this was the 80s and Cody lost, you'd be like, man, I can't believe they cheated him. He lost, blah, blah, blah. New age wrestling's like, man, I can't believe they booked that finish. He should have won. It's like, it's so weird for me. If this was me in the 80s watching that match in the 80s, I'd be like, I can't believe the bloodline cheated.
You're right.
Lost him that match. Now it's like, I can't believe creative booked that finish.
Yeah. Such a different time.
Yeah, sometimes I miss just being a kid and not knowing,
Right. Just to sit back and enjoy it. I try to do that as much as I can, to be honest with you. Try to stay away from the dirt sheets and everything like that. Just sit back and enjoy it. It's hard. It's not to go off the rails here, but like it's almost like politics, where it's like I just try to, especially on social media, it's like I just try to ignore all that stuff and not get involved and just give my opinion on our podcast and try not to get in an argument. If you want to watch this, and this, that's fine. If you enjoy it, do your thing,
I've dialed back early days of social media. I was, technically back in the 90s when they had message boards, that was kind of social media. I was always active, always posting, interacting and stuff like that. But there's like, became a point where like, you post something to try to have an engagement, have a conversation, and people just want to argue.
Yeah.
And nowadays I say the best tweet is the one you don't send.
Yeah.
You're just better off popping in here and there and saying, a couple things here and there, and not trying to not do anything to have the wolves come after you.
Sure.
Not that I'm going to say anything controversial, but I like to have my opinion. It's my opinion. It's not fact. It's not right. It's not wrong. It's just an opinion. But if I give an opinion, somebody go, "Oh, you're an idiot." Oh, well, thanks. Thanks for the engagement. Thanks.
Right.
Riveting. That was a riveting conversation. That was a brain tingler right there. But yeah, social media is weird. But who knows, man? It's just I thought WrestleMania this weekend was a great event. I love that they do the 2-night events that are not burning people out with a 9-hour thing. I missed the NXT program, but I heard good things. So, but overall, I think it was very successful for WWE. I caught bits and pieces of Raw, but that's another thing. Raw's a little bit too long.
Yeah. Go back to the 2 hours.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Going back to your career, do you have a favorite opponent that you've worked with through your career?
It would have to be, I've been fortunate to work with so many great guys, so much great talent. But it always comes back to Tracy Smothers and BWO versus FBI,
Yep.
where every night was a learning experience. Tracy Smothers, one of the unsung heroes of ECW. He helped so much young talent. Like before every ECW show, he would have like a mini dojo in the ring. Everybody get in the ring. Everybody do some calisthenics. Everybody stretch up, warm up, teach us some spots, teach us psychology. And then I get to go in the ring and wrestle him and Little Guido. Little Guido's amazing as well. But and Tommy Rich. But being married to Tracy Smothers in ECW for almost a year, and then several years after that on the Indies, post ECW, you couldn't ask for a better opponent to teach you. What
Yep.
on the job training with Tracy
Sure.
Smothers.
That's great. And then last wrestling question, and then actually I got one more after that, and then we'll get into a fun question here. But is there anyone that you wish you had the chance to work with that it just didn't happen, work out, anything like that? Anybody you wish you could have got to work with through your career?
So many. I remember when Raven first pitched the Blue Meanie character to me, and we're coming back from a show in Pittsburgh, and he had a show the next day. And I think Stevie was going to wrestle Stevie or Raven were going to wrestle Jimmy Snuka, and I was supposed to feed in, take a headbutt, and take a superfly splash. And the spot got cut, and I was so mad that I didn't get to take the Jimmy Superfly Snuka splash. But other people I wish I could have worked with. Oh my God, there's so many. I mean, I was fortunate. I kind of worked with Ricky Morton in ECW. Stevie worked him. I was managing on the outside. I would have so much. You know who I wish I would have wrestled? It took me a couple times to go around my Rolodex, but beautiful Bobby Eaton.
Oh, okay. I loved him back when I was a young kid watching WCW Saturday night. He was one of the guys that always caught my eye.
Dude, I specifically grew a mullet for Bobby Eaton in high school. If you ever, if I ever post a photo of my high school ID, I had a pretty sweet looking mullet that I called the Bobby Eaton special. So probably Bobby Eaton, because I would always I was in high school, I was the wrestling guy. People knew I loved wrestling. In my high school yearbook, people were like, "Good luck in WWF."
Oh, nice. That's
People
sweet.
knew I was obsessed. But I would also mimic wrestle, what they call backyard wrestling, but we weren't in the backyard. Sure. I would do Bobby Eaton punch and this, that, and the other thing, and people oh, taking it back by thinking I was throwing real punches and stuff like that. But it was all because of Bobby Eaton. I'm just still watching Bobby Eaton and studying Bobby Eaton.
Awesome. I got to ask one question that DJ, my co-host who couldn't make it today, he always asks this every time we have somebody on, but he's always looking for crazy road stories. Is there one crazy road story that you got that sticks out? We're not PG or anything, so fire away whatever you want, whatever you can tell without getting yourself in trouble or anything like that. But yeah, he's always looking for crazy road stories.
Just crazy moments. I mean, staying at the South Philly Travel Lodge after an ECW show is always an experience. Check into the hotel. They go, "Would you like your room to have a chalk outline or not a chalk? Would you like the chalk outline room or the non-chalk outline room?" Just crazy mother. I mean, not even road stories. Being at ECW show and riots breaking out, or we one night we had ECW used to run the Lulu Temple in Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania, and the building got sold, and they weren't going to have wrestling there anymore. And we moved to the National Guard Armory in Plymouth Meeting. First night there, it's Mischief Night, the night before Halloween, which is usually, high tensions, for people like egging cars or whatever, toilet papering houses and stuff like that. But there was an ESUB event, and there was a crew of college students in the crowd, and they were just being loud and rowdy, which is fine. Adds to the atmosphere. But there was a multi tag team match that was going on. I believe it was the Dudleys, Gangsters, Balls and Axle, Eliminators, and most of the teams were in the ring. And Balls and Axle were coming to the ring, and they're slapping hands and high five, and the group of college kids were there, all wearing white T-shirts. I guess it's a sorority or fraternity thing. So Balls and Axel goes over to these. You see these guys being loud and rowdy, going over there, slap a five. A group of them grabbed Axel and pulled him over the guardrail, and started pummeling on him.
Oh my gosh!
So everybody in the ring sees that, and they hop out of the ring, hop over the rail, and this huge brawl breaks out. So word comes back to locker room, fight. Locker room clears out. Everybody runs out, and it's just a fight between these college kids and ECW guys. And when I say fight, I mean it was pretty much a mauling. The ECW guys, basically beat the shit out of them.
Sure.
So there's a moment where, so imagine this: a riot at a National Guard armory on mischief night. The police call. They send. I want to say they send out a SWAT team. They definitely, the cops. They come with the canines.
Oh my.
And there's a moment where Tracy Smothers is outside, and he's shadow boxing the police canine dogs. He's got a towel around his waist. He's got shampoo in his hair, it's dripping down in his eyes. He's just like, "Come on, man!" Or, actually, I'm blowing the story. I'm sorry. Tommy Dreamer's out there with the cops, and they got the canine dogs. He goes, "Hey, sorry, it's big misunderstanding, blah, blah, blah." And while Tommy's trying to cool it with the cops, cool the situation, Tracy Smothers in the towel with the shampoo in his hair comes up and goes, "I'll take the dogs," and starts shadow boxing the dogs. And he's like, "Tracy, no." They go back to the locker room and things cool down. And I want to say the next day we're driving to, we had a show in Queens, I want to say. And I'm with, I was traveling with Jim Molyneux and Sign Guy Dudley, Lou DeAngeli. And we put on the local news station, KYW 1060 AM. And we made the news radio the next morning. Riot break. It goes, riot breaks out at a local wrestling show, ECW. And the reason why I did that is because that's the old KYW 1060 news ticker that I used to have. I downloaded it. And
Nice.
We're like, we made KYW. Yes.
We've made it. We've made it.
I later learned from Bubba Ray Dudley that I think ECW got sued. They tried to sue ECW for that, but it got thrown out.
Wow.
But just like there was plenty of just fights.
Oh, I'm sure, especially the ECW days. I'm sure there's plenty.
The Dudleys.
Yeah.
Had no fear.
Yeah.
But they drew genuine heat.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of people are afraid to do nowadays.
Yeah, it's a lost art, I feel like.
Yeah, and you don't have to be I'm not. This isn't an indictment of the Dudleys, but because ECW was a little bit hardcore,
Sure.
with language and stuff. They got heat, but their heat was genuine. It wasn't cheap heat. It wasn't manufactured. This town, whatever. Your
sure.
mom. They would go out and say things, and people would just want to hop the rail. And I think people want to be a heel now, but they also kind of want to sell merch.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. It's a great way to put it. Yeah. All right, last question for you. We've got a little bit of a fun one here. Awesome. Is there anything that you're binging as far as TV shows, movies, anything like that you're hooked on right now?
Oh man, I'm still coming down from Better Call Saul.
Oh, I loved Better Call Saul. I had a friend who was like, "Got to watch this." I loved Breaking Bad,
Yeah.
And I was like, I watched the first episode. I didn't love it. It took me a little while to get into it. And he's like, just get past the first couple and you'll be fine. And I was literally like watching it every single night. And I like on Netflix, and I had to wait. I looked it up to see like when the finale was going to be, or when the final season was going to be on Netflix, and it said something like July. I think that date changed since then, but I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait till July. So I had to do some, searching, if you will, to find the last season because I could not wait to watch it. So good. I liked it better than Breaking Bad myself.
In a lot of ways, it was better. And was it better than Breaking Bad? In a lot of ways, it was, but it was better than Breaking Bad because of Breaking Bad. Because
True.
they had developed these characters and stuff like that, and there's so I love the callbacks while you're watching Better Call Saul, callbacks to Breaking Bad, which is in the future.
Yeah.
Thing. So
Yep.
it's so well written. Yeah, it took me a little bit, like you said, it took me a little bit because like the Gene scenes, like the black and white scenes for post Breaking Bad. But then eventually in that last season, it all comes together.
Yep.
And you're just like, oh my God, it was amazing. And they
They
brought
did.
back
Go
Jesse
ahead.
and Walter and
Yep. Yeah.
beautiful.
I felt like you got invested in the characters a lot more than you did in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
In my opinion. That's just my opinion. So like when it ended or when something bad happened, you're like, what? You're shocked, genuinely shocked.
Yeah.
But yeah, so good. So good. And actually, to be honest with you, myself, I haven't really watched much since then. Since I finished it either. So I got to get jump into the third season here of Ted Lasso. I was supposed to do it on my trip to Mania, but just didn't have time. That weekend's pretty hectic. Nobody told me how hectic it was going to be.
And, I've been hearing about the Ted Lasso, and that might be my next binge thing.
Yeah.
I was a huge Game of Thrones fan, and I want to watch House of Dragon, whatever. But I need to watch it like when I watch TV, I need to be undistracted.
Yeah.
Just put me in a dark room with just a TV, Clockwork Orange, just I need to watch because I'm afraid of missing the little details or whatever, this, that, and the other thing. And then I'll watch an episode and I'll go watch the YouTube channel of people explaining to me what I missed. So, because I have such I have the attention span of a goldfish sometimes.
Same.
Yeah.
But all right, man. Appreciate you coming on here. You want to plug? I know you said you're going to be at Squared Circle Expo. You can get Mind of the Meanie. Go ahead, promote all that stuff, and we'll put it up on our socials for you as well.
Oh, thank you, man. If you would like to follow the Blue Meanie on all forms of social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Blue Meanie BWO, on all forms of social media. If you'd like to support the Blue Meanie, go to prowrestlingtees.com/Blue Meanie. I got some really cool shirts going up within the next couple days. If you would like to support the Minded Meanie, subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Minded Me, go to mindedme.com or go over your favorite app and look up Minded Meanie. CollarandElbowBrand.com. Use promo code Meanie, save 10%. But the cool thing, the thing I'm very proud of, are these figure collection bone crushing Series 1 variants, the Blue Meanie and the variant. Go to shop.figurecollections.com and get these very cool action figures. I will be at the Square Circle Expo this weekend, so we'll figure collections. If you buy a figure from them, bring it over to me. I'll sign it for you. So
Awesome.
it's going to be a good weekend. The Square Circle Expo, very well run convention. It's well worth. I'm going to drive out there because I don't trust the airlines, but it's worth. It's worth. In the words of Jerry Briscoe, it's worth the drive.
Nice. Jack tried to get me to go out there, but being at Mania last weekend and then trying to go out to that this weekend, I'm trying to not get divorced. So
where do you live? If you
I'm in Connecticut, actually.
That's right.
So
Mrs. Meanie's from Connecticut.
oh, okay. What town?
West Haven.
Okay, I'm in Summers, which is up north. I can spit into Massachusetts. Essentially, I'm originally from Mass, so
Very cool.
yeah. But Blue Meanie, man, we appreciate you coming on here with us. When you guys are buying those figure collection bone crushing wrestlers, don't forget to use the code RUN10. You get 10% off at shop.figurecollections.com.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Anytime.